Now let's put our hatch in our wall. And if we look at our picture here, maybe look at the other one, you can see there are some various hatch patterns for earth or dirt, for gravel, and for concrete. And the dimensions tell you what sizes those hatch areas should be. So I've taken the liberty of drawing in those lines now so that we can fill them in. What I did was I put them on a layer that I can turn off afterwards if I want to. And you could even make your own layer for that if you want to. Here's what I did. Freeze. There, now they're gone. Unfreeze or thaw. Now they're visible again. Now hatch. Hatch should be 0.18 line weight. And if we look in our layers here, once again, we don't have a civil hatch layer. I know this might be not the right thing to do, but for now, we could just use our A hatch layer. I know, bad, but let's do it. So there's A hatch. It's white and it's 0.18 thick. That will give us some thin lines for our hatching. Okay, now let's hatch this thing. And in the Word document instructions, I give you some numbers in the last bullet point. So the hatch scale doesn't work the way I think it should. Technically speaking, your hatch scale should follow your drawing scale factor, just like your dimension style does and your LT scale does and all of that. We'll talk about that later on, maybe next week. But for some reason, these hatch patterns don't do that. There's something I don't know. So I suggest you use a scale of 2 for the concrete hatch. All right then. Where the heck is the concrete hatch? Oh, first, let's get our layer. I'm going to use just the A hatch layer and not worry about it. You can do that too. Over here in the Draw panel, there is the thing for hatch. So I'll click that down. Now, we could get gradient if we were being fancy, but we're not. That's, for illustrating. We want hatch. So when you click that hatch button, the ribbon at the top changes to the hatch ribbon. And let's just look at what we've got. Over here is where you want the hatch boundaries. Next over is the pattern you want. Next over is the scale, and then some other options. All right, so we want concrete, and there are a bunch of patterns hidden under here. You could click that one down arrow, which will take you down one row at a time, which is kind of slow. Or you could hit this multiple down arrow at the bottom of the scroll bar, and what that does is open up the whole pattern menu, and you'll notice there's a slider here next to the menu, so you can slide all the way down and look at all the patterns that are available. Some hatch patterns begin with AR for architecture, and some of them don't, so that's handy. You just have to get used to the fact that concrete doesn't start with a C, it starts with AR for concrete. Okay, fine. So let's select that concrete pattern, AR concrete pattern. Let's come over to the scale and click on that and change our scale to 2, which I recommend. Enter. Now we'll pick points. And that takes you back to the drawing, and it's going to look, when you put your cursor someplace, it will look for an enclosed boundary and fill it in. And when you click, it drops down the hatch there. Now I can come onto the other side of my pipe and click again, and there's some more concrete, and I will enter to accept. Notice that when you click on the hatch, this whole hatch stuff is all one block. That's because we clicked in there without leaving the hatch command. Sometimes that's handy and sometimes it's not. Escape. Now let's go put on some earth. I like the earth hatch. And there are 3 different places where you have earth hatch. You might want to make those separate hatches. And this says we suggest a hatch scale of 12 for some inexplicable reason. All right? So we'll go to hatch. We'll look for earth. I'm going to click this very bottom down arrow. And where are we? There's not AR earth, it's just plain earth. So this one is under E for earth. Okay, there's that. Now I will come over to the scale and click the scale and type 12, enter. Now I can pick points. I'll click pick points, click inside my boundary, and enter. I'd like some more earth hatch, so hatch was the last thing I did. I'm going to hit the enter key, hatch, pick internal point. Looky there, so all my settings are still set. All I have to do is just click inside the boundary, enter. I'm going to do it again. Enter, click, enter. See how fast that was? And when I click on one hatch pattern, it's a separate block from another hatch pattern. So if you need to do something with one of them at a time, they're not all glued together. Okay, now let's look at the gravel hatch, scale of 4. All right, so we'll go back to the hatch command. We'll look for gravel, and it happens that it starts with G for gravel. And don't get confused by this gradient in the middle here. Gradient starts with a GR, so it's in the middle of the alphabet. There's gravel right there. Gravel. The scale will make that 4, enter. And we'll pick points right here. And look how it knows to make an island around that pipe there. Enter. Now I'm going to enter, click, enter, and now I have 2 separate gravel hatches. Now, if I want to, I could turn off the, what was my layer? I think it was this one. Freeze that layer, yay. And now I'm going to do one final touch. See this profile line here? That is an extra thick profile line that shows where your section view touched the air. You don't have to do that, but professional drafters do like to do that. And we want to look for a layer that we might already have that's thick, like the topographic line index layer is a nice thickness. I will make that current. Oops, didn't want to make a new line, silly person. Cancel that. Let's just stick with our topo index layer, and I'm going to get a line, and oh, I might need to turn on my boundary boxes because they've got O-snap points that I can click to. Okay, now back to the topo index layer. Get a line, and I'm just going to trace over the top where this profile is. Yay. And now I'll turn off, I'll freeze my topo, my boundary layer again. And now I've got a nice thick line. And if I do one more tricky thing, I want to turn on the line weight doodad down here at the bottom. It's not there, so I'm going to click on this hamburger, this stack of menus, and I'm going to select from this menu of tools, I'm going to select line weight. Watch the taskbar add the thing. Looky there. There it is. See that showed up? If you click on that, it will show you in an exaggerated way which lines are thick and which ones are thin. Now, it's not accurate, but it does show you, okay, there's your nice profile line. So, yay. Hopefully, we can find our off switch. We might or might not. Grr. Why do you do that? Well, damn. That is irritating. Fine. That is irritating.